On r/AskALiberal, someone who goes by the name Life Topic asked, why do gyms skew conservative? Here's the most reasonable response before we quickly descend into angry political hell. Probably depends on the type of gym, but certain types of gyms are over the top with the conservative concept of masculinity, so they attract that type of audience. Meanwhile, there's a ton of alternatives to going to the gym for exercise, and a lot of them probably lean more liberal. I think that's a fair point. Yoga in a San Francisco park does feel a little more coexist bumper sticker, $15 black coffee than like, don't tread on me flag, pre-ground Black Rifle coffee, you know? But in this case, we're talking about gyms in the typical way that people think about it.
You go to a gym?
But this comment already shows the common conflation of conservatism and hypermasculinity. Have you noticed that that's been coming up already? It keeps coming up. You've got to keep that part in mind because you're seriously not going to believe how often this pops back up and how important this ends up being to the entire discussion. So then it decided to get very Reddit-y. Another user says, quote, my brother is an MMA and a cage fighter for the UFC. He says it's because it's a selfish sport. It's about improving yourself and empowering yourself, not society. Basically, it's about pitting yourself against society and making yourself strong enough to fight society, as opposed to a sport that is either fitness-oriented or team-oriented. The whole point of lifting and MMA is about making yourself bigger and stronger so you can fight against society. And conservatism is all about them versus society. I have never said society so much in my entire life. Oh my God. It's never about what is best for everyone, only and always what is best for them. Oh my God, that's such a, I didn't realize how funny that is until I read it back again. What is this guy doing? Like shadowboxing alone in his basement with pictures hung up of like political elites that have their eyes scratched out or something? Like I've done Muay Thai and trust me, it is one of the least selfish sports ever. You need teammates holding pads and sparring with you and yelling at you to keep your guard up when you're too tired to think straight. This whole fighting society thing feels like just a cheesy Disney villain monologue.
He starts monologuing.
He starts monologuing.
But again, these attributes are painted as bad. As he said, improving yourself, empowering yourself, and not society. If that is true, is that bad? I've said this countless times. It goes I, we, all. That was something that Paul Chek taught me in early 2020. You have to handle yourself before your family, before your neighborhood, before your city, etc., etc., etc. Imagine a disheveled father or mother taking care of their family if they can barely put themselves together. You put your own oxygen mask on first, so to speak. Also, I'm not sure how this person would define selfishness, but if we really quickly look at a 2021 meta-analysis on 31 empirical studies on political ideology and charitable givings in the US, we see that conservatives are significantly more charitable than liberals. Again, don't know what metric he's using, just throwing that one out there. Then, of course, we got the Reddit trifecta of toxic hot takes.
Oh, maybe there's a correlation between conservative views and traumatic brain injuries. TBIs are no joke. Sprinkle in some toxic masculinity and suppressed homoeroticism, too.
Reddit is painfully predictable sometimes. Life Topic ended up asking the same question over at r/AskConservatives, and between these three threads, there is one point of universal agreement. Can you guess it? I have mentioned it several times already. The weightlifting gyms at least, are an expression of masculinity. Where this divide seems to be is a matter of personality traits and an individual's interpretation of them. When conservatives were asked this, they said they know, quote, very few conservative fighters, despite the liberal thread saying that all fighters were conservative. I mean, Life Topic, the original poster, even said he thinks MMA is a conservative sport. I don't know many liberals personally who watch the UFC, for example. I don't know, this one's kind of confusing. One final comment that I think fits well is this. There is no such thing as exercise welfare. You get what you put into it. That comment nails it. You can't just show up and stare at weights and expect your quads to grow. Fitness is a meritocracy. The fascinating part about all this is that both sides think gyms reflect their worldview. Liberals say fitness is selfish and hypermasculine. Conservatives say it's masculine because it's about self-reliance. it's the same topic. It's completely different narratives and interpretations. Finally, someone on the liberal side said, quote, "There's a lot of overlap between conservatives and hypermasculine people." Once again, we are at the heart of this debate. Why is masculinity, especially in the gym, being framed as bad by some people? Like, what is masculinity? Being strong, capable, and improving yourself doesn't have a political party. One of the strongest people that I know is a vegan communist powerlifter. Crazy, crazy strong. It's not about politics. It's about personal growth. But I still posed these 4 questions with the only answers being liberals or conservatives. And I'd be interested to hear your guys' comments as well. But here's what my followers thought. 1, who do you think takes exercise more seriously? Nearly 75% voted conservatives. 2, who is more thoughtful or concerned about their health? This one was split down the middle, but for a very interesting reason. I got a lot of DMs from people saying, oh, I would have said this is conservatives, but they didn't want to take the COVID shot. So that kind of surprised me. That was people's line, so to speak. That was how they kind of measured someone caring about their health, was if they, took the vaccine. God, I hope me saying that word doesn't make YouTube yell at me. But that vote ended up landing at 55% liberals. Who has more athletic potential? Once again, about 75% conservatives. And the final question, who is more overweight? This one also led to a lot of DMs from people, and I think rightly so, because on one hand, you've got a large portion of fitness and hunting being conservative. On the other hand, you have a lot of cliche obese rednecks. And then on the other side of the aisle, you have the extremely liberal Colorado, where I live, with the lowest obesity rates in the country. But the left side of the aisle also comprises the majority of the, quote, healthy at every size advocates, which I covered in episode 49, by the way. But ultimately, this answer came down to 61% conservatives. I keep on saying this. This all boils down to how we perceive fitness and politics. What is good, what is bad, and why people think the way that they do. Surprisingly, so much of this can be explained by science, as I've already shown you guys, but specifically also personality traits. And you're not prepared for how much sense everything is going to make on why people act and think the way that they do. Because despite the fact this is about to sound like I'm reading horoscopes, this goes back over 75 years to 1949. If you like that video, make sure to check out the whole video up top. See you later.